The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, July 26th, 2023, season 19, episode number 11. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the 2023 Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, and we're ready for a new season here on The Break. We got some new things for you guys this season. We got a long-time member of our team who is no longer on The Break staff. He will be branching off into his own show. Nick Eatman starting up a new show called Cowboy Storyline. Check the website, mobile app later today, tomorrow, I think, for his first episode of that show. But we've got joining our show, the one and only Mr. Patrick Walker, joining Brian, joining Amber. And we're now ready to get this thing rolling. Thank you, Patrick, for joining us. We're excited to have you on the show. And let's go. For those that haven't, I guess, followed your work, give us a little bit of a taste of, a little taste of kind of where you've been and what you've been doing. Obviously, you were on the B show for DallasCowboys.com.
Shots
And
fired
so
early.
now we've moved you up to varsity.
Shots
Time to
fired
step
early.
up. But talk a little bit about like your background and how long you've been covering this team.
Well, first of all, shouts out to Talking Cowboys and my guys over there, Kyle and Rob, who's not with us, but Nick Harris and Isaiah Stanback, obviously. But prior to coming into the organization, covered the team for several years with CBS Sports. Prior to that, 24/7 Sports and that entire outfit. And it's always been a pleasure of me to not only cover the team, but be a lifelong fan of the team. So for those that don't know about me, this tattoo right here that I got when I was in college, I'm quite literally a massive Cowboys fan. But the beauty of it is being able to separate the science, as I call it, from the fandom. So I get to enjoy it on two different fronts when it's enjoyable. So, and now I'm on the on this team. I'm not going to say A or B. I'm on this team with some heavy hitters, and I'm just looking forward to contributing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, it's I know this is the first time I've known you a long time.
Long time.
Always respected your work from afar. Matter of fact, you and I have gotten some arguments before, corrected each other on stuff, and it's worked out great. Super excited about working with you as always, and I've won an award with that lady sitting to your left, and this
She's
guy
won a
right
lot
there.
of awards, so
Yeah, this guy that he'll direct you all the way you need to go. But I really do look forward to it. There'll be a lot of really good conversation.
Yes.
I look forward to the post game stuff, the breakdowns during the week, getting ready for the opponents. I think that fans of the break should be super excited about the lineup that Derek Eagleton has rolled out here today. Really great job, boss.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I feel really good about this one. I think we got, actually, to be honest with you, across all of our shows, I think we got some really, really good fits. Adding John Machota to Talking Cowboys, I think
That's
that'll
a
be
big
really
get
great
right
for them.
there. Absolutely.
And then obviously getting that brand new show with Nick. I think we got a lot of things in store for fans. I think fans are going to enjoy it. I know people don't like change. Just trust me on this one. It's going to be fine. We'll make it work. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk some Cowboys football. Let's talk about Trevon Diggs. Man got paid yesterday. 5-year, $97 million contract. Patrick, what are the details of the deal?
Well, first of all, it definitely was a pleasant surprise with the Cowboys having so many heavy hitters that they need to try to get under contract for the long term. Talk about CeeDee Lamb, Trevon Diggs is one of those. Micah Parsons is coming up as well, and now we have the Zach Martin conversation. But to be able to lock up Trevon Diggs, 5-year extension, which totals out to 6 years because he's going into year 4 of his rookie deal with no 5th-year option, second-round pick. Right. So it's ultimately a 6-year deal worth upwards of $100 million. Technically, it's 97, but reports are that it could be up to 100 or even $104 million. So it slots right in as something that you said, Brian, offline, that hits perfectly. It's right in Stephen Jones' wheelhouse. It doesn't set the market, but it gets the player right where he needs to be. So there's that sweet spot that was struck. And now you have inarguably the best cornerback in this franchise's history since Deion Sanders. And shouts out to Terrence Newman, who was a great cornerback, but he wasn't able to do what a guy like Trevon Diggs has done in the first 3 seasons. So Diggs is locked up, 5-year extension, upwards of $100 million. Bravo to both Diggs, his agent, and the Cowboys organization for getting it done.
Yeah, this was the one I felt like that was going to be really, really tough. And because I was thinking, okay, we have a history here with the Diggs brothers are outspoken, even to the point where we were talking about Madden numbers and like, it's trash, it's all that. And you're thinking, man, this is a competitive family. And, so you're thinking like, well, without that 5th-year option, really that safety net, I mean, they're talking about tags and all this thing kind of going through. But this was the one that I thought was going to be trouble for Stephen Jones, Adam Pacifica, and those guys. But in fact, though, like you said, Patrick, this one was right in their wheelhouse because it didn't set the market. It wasn't the thing that blew everything away. It's very creative the way they used his current contract to add the extension and to even bring the number down even more. Don't look at it as like a $16 million, and you're thinking like when you look at the top corners in the league, they're all making $21, $22 million a year. And to get him at the 5th slot with his ability, great job by the player getting it done, great job by the agent, and great job by the front office for making it all work together.
So Amber,
I was gonna say it feels really, really good because that's one less thing to worry about at this time. Also, looking into this season, I know last year there were a lot of criticism, people that would criticize Diggs for his level of play, how hard he would go and tackle, those things that maybe, is he taking just care of himself to get that big contract or taking care of his body so he doesn't get injured. Now that's out of the question. He got the deal done. He's going to be here in Dallas for at least 6 more seasons for the Cowboys. So that's really good that we're starting off training camp knowing that he's locked in and ready to go.
So what do you guys think is the most difficult contract they have left? You got CeeDee Lamb coming up. You got Micah Parsons. You got Dak coming up. And you got Zach Martin coming up. And we'll talk a little bit later in the show about Zach and what all's going on with him. But you look at those big contracts. Obviously, Terrence Steele, not as big a contract. So I'm really focused more on those really big deals that could be like market-setting type deals. Which do you think is going to be the most difficult of those 4?
I'm going right to Micah Parsons. When it comes time to start talking the Micah Parsons contract, it gets more complex because is he truly a linebacker or is he truly a edge rusher off of the line? Because that's my answer. He's an edge rusher. Yeah. The stats bear that out as well. Yeah. So that's going to make for a more robust and complex conversation between Micah, his agent, and the Cowboys front office. And as we all know, there's a very large chasm between top linebacker money, top defensive end money. So for me, it's going to be Micah Parsons.
I kind of feel like this one with Dak Prescott's not getting any easier.
Yeah.
With what we've seen with Herbert, and then my guy Joe Burrow at Cincinnati is going to sign a massive deal too. And I give Dak Prescott credit for one thing. He's played this the right way. He really has. If you look at how he had to deal with the tag situations, the things that they've had to do to kind of make sure that they got the contract done. His agent, Todd France, has not made it easy but that's his job. His job's not to make it easy. And the guys that do the cap here, they know that. They know that with all these contracts. I love what you're talking about with Parsons, because Parsons has a legitimate point about his defensive ability. When you start to talk about the great defensive players around the league, his name always gets mentioned. It doesn't take long to call the roll, with his group. And so I think that could be tough. But as long as these quarterback numbers keep inching up, then all of a sudden Dak Prescott's learned how to play the short game here. He's like, I'm not interested in your long-term stuff. Let me, it's almost like, it's almost like LeBron James and his one-year deals where he just keeps getting a bite at the apple every time, that season ends. So I think that's the one that's going to be, because I don't think there's going to be any discounts on this one. I really don't.
Real quick on that note, you think back to when they were negotiating Dak's deal, and even like the year before that, we were talking numbers in the 30s. We were talking 35, 36,
Oh, yeah.
37. Now you've got a number of quarterbacks who've already pushed over 50.
Yeah.
Like it has made I think, a massive jump, probably more than any other position, in the amount that the best players at the position are now being paid with all these contracts, and they still got Burrow to do. Where's Burrow going to end up? So you're right. Just the numbers alone are what's going to make it a little more difficult to get Dak done.
Yeah, as the quarterbacks are walking by the running backs, going, "Oh, excuse me." We'll
take that.
It's kind of like when you check in at the airlines.
Yeah.
Are you in Group 3? Are you in Group 3? No, you're not. Okay,
Step back,
Group
please.
3. Step back.
Right.
So
We're looking for Group 1.
Yeah, the quarterbacks are all going to Group 1, and those running backs are sitting in Group 9 right now.
Stand by. Not even Group 9. They're flying stand
Where were you
by,
going with Amber?
unfortunately.
What did you think?
No, it's just insane. Going back to Brian's point about these short term deals, it's just crazy to me that we're sitting here talking about Dak's contract again when it feels like it was yesterday that we were discussing his contract with the Cowboys. So, but it seems to me that based on everything we've heard from the Cowboys and Jerry Jones-Stephen, Mike McCarthy as well, their level of commitment with Dak is there. Like
absolutely.
They're backing him up, and they have shown to be full all in with Dak. So I think that they'll figure out a way to get that one done. But I would say I'm with Patrick on this one as far as Micah Parsons just being a lot more complex and giving Micah's personality. Not saying, I don't know Micah's agent. I don't know how he is or anything, but based on personalities and how these guys are, I think Micah seems that it's going to be a lot more of a headache in getting it done.
Yep. All right, we're going to take our first break.
Could you see real quick, though, Mike is so outspoken that, you're going to hear a lot of,
It'll be on Twitter.
Yeah, it'll be one of those things where, like, the guys over here in the cap and with the Cowboys, the front office guys, they keep everything buttoned down. Yeah. They really do keep it all buttoned down, and they believe in the back and forth, but it has to be that. But with Micah, it's going to be – there are going to be words you're probably going to hear initially that you're like, whoa, wait a minute, and then get ready. Like we were talking about earlier in our pre-show meeting, it could be like Beyonce, the Beehive. If the fan base will come on, front office, what are you doing? And then now here comes the attack.
Let's just be clear. I don't think there's any way that the Cowboys will lose Micah Parsons.
I hope
they'll
not.
figure it out,
Yeah,
right? That's the thing.
I've
I've never in the years,
guys
I will say this,
over there,
in the years I've been with the team, I've never seen a player that they truly wanted that they ultimately didn't end up getting. You can make an argument maybe for Gregory because of the way that played out. But the fact of the matter is I very rarely have seen them in situations where if they want a player, and by the way, if they want a player really bad, I've never seen them lose a player they want really bad because, by the way, you can always pay the amount of money that can get the deal done or figure out the way to get it done.
And this is a young generational talent. You're going to figure out a way to get it done, be it restructures on contracts to create the cap, whether it be letting a couple guys at the bottom of the roster go. You're going to make it get done. Make sure it gets done for Micah Parsons.
All fairness to the Cowboys real quick, though, on the Randy Gregory thing, and I love Randy Gregory, I really do. I feel like his agent pushed that deal. I think Randy really wanted to be here, and I think the Cowboys felt like that they had a deal done. The agent's, Colorado-based, so, it works out for him. And good for Randy. He got paid.
He got paid. And by the way, it worked out for the Cowboys, too. So I think everybody got kind of what they needed at that.
Because Dorrance Armstrong.
Yeah, exactly right.
Guys
you
got
what you
and
want.
now that prompted them to go and get Sam Williams in the second round. And Sam is on the verge of a year 2 breakout. So it worked out for everyone.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back. I got a little game for you guys in the mode of Brian brought us and his games. We'll play a little agree, disagree. We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't stop banking.
Erica is only available in in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Back to the break.
Dallas Cowboys Training Camp 2023 is here, brought to you by American Airlines. Watch the team practice on selected days from today to August 15th in sunny Oxnard, California. The admission is free. For more information, visit dallascowboys.com/training camp.
Make sure you come out and check that out. We're live in the second segment of the break. We're at 2023 Cowboys Training Camp presented by American Airlines. This segment of the show brought to you by blockchain.com. Ding. Ding. You heard the ding, of course, from our producer, Chris Beam. All right, here's what we're going to do. I got a little game for you guys called Agree, Disagree.
Disagree.
Well, I got 4 statements.
There
were 4 statements yesterday in the opening press conference from Jerry Jones that I'm going to throw at you guys, and I want you to tell me if you agree with them or you disagree with them.
That the break show should be paid more than anybody? I agree.
I agree now.
Sure, let's go for it.
I agree now.
Right, yeah, let's go for it. All right, so here we go. First one. When asked about the team as a possible contender, Jerry responds, we have a team that can compete for the top spot. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
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 Wow, all agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Would you not?
No, but I did. I expected some people probably raise their eyebrows like, okay, here we go again, because the national narrative is always, okay, it's kind of like Texas, my Texas team. Like, we're back. Like, people love to jump on the bandwagon when they think that the team is good. I agree with them, actually, but I expect there may be some raised eyebrows.
All the concerns I had, I feel like the Cowboys have addressed this offseason, except for 2 parts. One, I am still kind of concerned in a combination of O-line, running back. So just a running game overall.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a question mark there for me. And then the other part is kicker.
Yes.
I think we're once again in this. That's the one part that we're once again, I feel like, on the same boat as last year, as far as like they haven't really brought much competition, or they're just kind of done the same thing as they did last year. So those are my 2 concerns. But all in all, looking at the team as a whole, I feel like they do have everything they need to be capable of competing and getting to that next level.
So I'll address it in 2 parts. One, I understand the narrative, but I will say it's markedly different than the back end of the Jason Garrett era. When you hear Jerry Jones say, I think we can be a contender, then you could kind of sit back and say, come on. Something major's got to be shaken up. But if you look at the McCarthy era and you look at these past 2 seasons in particular, 12-5, you're in the playoffs, 12-5, you're in the second round of the playoffs. The progression is there. The building is there. The defense, we were talking about it yesterday, it's wild. Just 2 or 3 years ago, we were leaning on the offense.
Yeah.
Now the Cowboys we're asking, should they lean on the defense? Defense is set and has gotten better on paper. Offensively, you go and you make moves. Brandon Cooks, which is the counterpart trade with Stephon Gilmore. So, yeah, you still have question marks. Offensive line, running back room, kicker is a big one for me. But if you sit back and you look at the totality of it, there's no reason this team should not be mentioned in the same breath as the Eagles and the 49ers as far as atop the NFC.
Well, that's the reason right there why they have a shot, because all of a sudden look what all the quarterbacks are. All the quarterbacks are in the AFC. This conference is for the taking. You feel good about, yes, you match up, usually when you go to Philadelphia or they come to AT&T, you kind of feel like, okay, rosters match up, depending on how the quarterbacks play. Could be a turnover one way or another that decides this game, or one team just gets steamrolled. You know, with the Eagles, you kind of have that feeling that you could beat them on any given day. 49ers, not so much. But see, when Aaron Rodgers leaves this conference and goes, you know, and I'm thinking about what you have to go through. We'll see what's up in Detroit. You know, we'll see what's up with them. We'll see what's up with the Commanders and the Giants and all these other teams in the division as well. But the conference is for the taking because of the teams potentially that you have to deal with. It's not like dealing with things going on in the AFC.
All right, next question or next statement. When asked about Tony Pollard and his contract situation, running backs, Jerry responded, the franchise tag fit that situation very well. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing about it, it's the fact I thought Stephen Jones was quick to mention that they did try and offer him a long-term deal.
Had to put that out there.
He did.
Yeah,
he let it be known that, wait a minute now, we're okay with the franchise tag, but we tried to offer a long-term deal here. And he decided
and mentioned Schultz as well. Like they tried last year to offer him a long-term deal.
And I think that we might be in a similar path here. I think we might be in a similar path to where when we'll see what happens with this running back stuff for these guys. Has been very, very difficult. And I had the question of, has analytics ruined the running back? You know, has analytics, all these departments now have all these analytics guys and gals, and they're all saying, throw it, throw it, throw it. And me, old crusty guy, is like, I'm from an era of run it. You know, I'm from that era, and I still think there's importance with the running backs, but I think it fit the Cowboys, and how quickly Pollard signed the tag told you it fit him right there.
Yeah, and for me, it's twofold. Number one, the running back market is so depressed that it's actually depressing to look at. But from the Cowboys aspect and Tony Pollard's aspect, Pollard is coming off of a rookie contract in which he was not the number one guy. It was Ezekiel Elliott. So the Cowboys have yet to see Tony Pollard as the definitive number one guy. So, yes, they offered him a long-term deal, but I could understand their comfort in saying, you know, if you want us to up the money, here's your true prove-it season. So you could argue last year was kind of a prove-it season, but here it is right here. And, I mean, at $10.1 million, you know, how can you go wrong when it comes to the salary cap?
Well, not only that, the fact that he hasn't been the number one running back yet completely, but also the whole injury thing. And I know I'm no doctor, I'm not in there, I don't know how he is physically and all that, and what we've seen so far, he looks good, but I'm always hesitant, like, to give someone a long-term deal, or, you know, even if it's just 2-3
Michael
years.
Gallup coming back in your mind all of a sudden?
It's just something that you just haven't seen it. You just haven't seen him full go just yet, and I mean, they feel confident about him being the guy for this year, but there's still a lot of question marks there that we haven't seen just yet.
Yeah, I have to say this. I've been waiting all offseason to say this. This whole thing with running backs, this is basic economics. Like, the first class I took at Texas, it was an economics class, and I remember them talking specifically one day about the fact that when supply increases, that drives down price. That's all that's happening here is you have a number of running backs that are coming into the league, and what teams have realized is that they're plentiful. There are lots of them. Yeah. And by the way, what you get, the production you get from a 7th, 8th year veteran running back and what you get from a rookie running back.
Right now.
But I'm just saying, and what you get from a rookie running back is not terribly different. And so when you have a large amount of supply and they're pretty comparable, what ends up happening is price goes down. The cost of getting one is cheaper. And so that's all that's happening. Now, the other thing you got to remember is this also can flip, too, because sometimes when you drive that price down, what ends up happening is supply also goes down. What starts happening is kids in Little League, in middle school ball, and high school ball, dad saying, hey, son, we're not going to play running back. We're going to play wide receiver. You'll thank me later. Right? We're going to play linebacker. You'll thank me later. Yeah. And what ends up happening is now you have less kids wanting to play that position, and you have less supply. The most talented athletes are not going to running back anymore. They're going to other positions, and then it starts driving that price back up because it's harder to find a good one. This all is cyclical. It's all economics. This is all economics.
That's it. Economics is cyclical because, you know, not so long ago, it was a league that was so quarterback-driven, so pass offense-driven that
Stephen Jones than
felt
it was right
laughable
now.
that
Yeah.
any team would take a running back in the top 10, top 5. But then here comes Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, and then the running backs were the
Bijan
star.
Robinson.
They were Bijan Robinson. They were the star of the show, and Bijan kind of broke ranking as we're talking about the depressed RB market. But in that stretch of time, it cycled back to running backs being valuable, and now their market is depressed. But inevitably, as economics goes, for one reason or another, I believe it'll get back to them.
Yeah.
But just right now, it's got to be figured out.
Yeah, the running back, okay, we always talk about, you could take a third or fourth or fifth round guy. Maybe those stupid scouts missed these running backs instead of them being fifth, sixth, seventh round running backs like the Pacheco in Kansas City. Maybe he should have been taken in the second round.
Fair.
Maybe, it's, you could plug anybody in and all that. Maybe there's been some misevaluation about the running back position that all of a sudden these guys show up, or they're in a small school that the colleges didn't recruit the right kid, and all of a sudden he ends up at directional Louisiana school instead of ending up at LSU or someplace like that.
Yeah.
So to me, like the talent and the need for running backs are still there. I think the evaluation of the running back, and just to say, you could take him or get him anywhere, I think there's been a lot of misevaluation of how good these guys really are.
I do think the biggest problem is like you're saying, everyone, in my opinion, needs to stop lumping all running backs into one bucket and saying I can just pick from this bucket whenever I want and get the same or similar production. That's not always the case. I've always been a champion of #running backs matter. But in that being said, I also state that not all running backs are the same as the other running backs.
Right.
Not every running back coming out of college is capable as Bijan Robinson, Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry. You're going to have some guys that are capable, but they're true 4th, 5th, 6th round guys.
Right.
And I think the conversation needs to be, let's stop assuming that a guy who justifiably is a 6th round flyer can step in and do the production as a Derrick Henry. When that conversation becomes more rightful and more justifiable, then I think things will start to turn.
You watching Christian McCaffrey play, when teams know how to use him, when they throw him the ball in the swing and the screens and stuff, like I told the running back coach here, I said, listen, hey, you figure out how to run a screen game for this football team, I'll throw a parade for you in downtown Dallas. I can't tell you the last time they threw the ball to the running back. If you find some of these coordinators find ways to get these guys going to where all of a sudden it's like, okay, I see the value here. I see the matchup values here, and I think I find it's wrong that the position is devalued. I really do. Kansas City won the Super Bowl because what they could do. Mahomes wasn't great. All of a sudden, what did they start doing? They started running the football in the second half. They blocked Philadelphia up front and were able to kill that game running it. So to me, I kind of feel like there is value for that. I lived that working for the Packers and watching Emmitt Smith, them build a lead in those games and just hammer the ball at us, and we couldn't stop them. There's value in that, destroying somebody's will to compete, and running backs do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think everyone agrees with the value of what they are, and what I mean by that is what they bring
Just
to the game.
Don't overpay them.
The point is that most teams are starting to realize that you can just get one for cheaper. Because I thought it was interesting when you said there may be a misevaluation of player. Here's what I would ask you. One of the things I've always wondered is, it's not.
We mess up a lot.
Well, no. From the standpoint of where I sit, where playing fantasy football is not obviously how it works there. But in fantasy football, when you look at a draft, the way you think about it is, it's not necessarily where the player deserves to go. It's where can I get the player.
Right.
So there might be a player who is worthy of being a 2nd round pick.
Right.
But I know in my draft I can get him in the 4th round. Then I'm going to put him in the 4th round.
Right.
So I think for the running backs, I don't know that I necessarily think it's a misevaluation as much as teams are starting to realize, because everybody else has devalued the position to some degree, I can get a guy that maybe has talent to be a 1st, 2nd, 3rd rounder. I can maybe get him in the 4th round. I can maybe get him in the 5th round, because that's where everybody would normally take them.
Yeah, and to me though, when we were on the draft show leading up to the draft, and we kept talking about Bijan Robinson, and he could go at 7, he could go at 10, he could go at 26, he could go at 32.
And he's very talented,
And it was ridiculous to me when they started talking about that Dallas could probably get him. It was ridiculous. I go, this is one of the best football players, regardless of position in the country. And where he went to Atlanta, I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's where he should have gone. And so to me, that makes sense. But I think where people have problems is how much these running backs get paid. What are you getting for $15 million. So what are you getting for $12 million?
I'll tell you what, and this is my final point on the matter. If you're a team that's trying to figure out your offensive line, then you better have your running back position figured out. You can't be trying to figure out both of those things at the same time. So if your O-line is in flux, you would like to hope that you have your running back situation set up. If your running back position is in flux, you would like to hope you got your OL situation set up.
All right, we're going to take our final break and come back. I got a couple more thoughts for you guys, and we'll see if you agree, disagree. We'll do that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
SeatGeek has your back no matter what kind of fan you are. So whether you're a diehard fan or a don't really care fan, a we got 'em next time fan or we'll never win again fan, a here for the tailgate fan or a first one through the gates fan, SeatGeek not only makes buying and selling tickets easier than ever before, they made just about everything else easier too. So whether you're a here every week fan or haven't been here in years fan, SeatGeek has you covered. Download the SeatGeek app today. SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to the break.
The official 2023 Dallas Cowboys Star Magazine training camp preview is now available. This year's edition features scouting reports, position analysis, a pull-out schedule poster, and articles from your favorite Dallas Cowboy writers. Get your training camp preview today at dallascowboys.com/star.
Welcome back to the final segment of the break, live from Oxnard, California. Mentioning that Star Magazine, I love this thing because heading into training camp, I spent a few weeks going through this every day, just familiarizing myself with all the names, all the players, all the different things you got to know when you get ready to do a show. I think for a fan, this is invaluable. If you are a big Cowboys fan, you need this thing because it does allow you to just kind of know where we are, know where we set the table for this upcoming season as we enter training camp. So make sure you go out and check it out. It's really
also, real quick, just because I made a post on my Instagram about it, and I got so many people asking me about the schedule poster that we see as something normal. We just pull it out and put it over our desk.
Actually,
but it's crazy the amount of people that actually want to have this poster is really cool. You just pull it out of the magazine, put it somewhere, and you just can follow the whole schedule. And
is that the deal that used to be in your desk where you had it up and then there was a bad loss and you wrote some curse word or something?
Me?
Yeah,
I don't
Spanish
I will
next to the
tell
game.
you. That's funny.
Like you'd write the score like win, and then it'd be a loss, and then you would write some curse word in Spanish, about the game.
Wrong person.
But you know something? You go through our office and you'll go through the desk. You can count the number of desks that have this up. I know I have it up in my office. Everybody puts it up.
It's such a quick reference.
Yeah, and you write the wins, losses down.
She'd write curse words in Spanish after a bad game.
Well, on mine, at my desk, I have an X over the preseason game scores, and it says IDC because I don't care about the scores for preseason. I care about the evaluation.
Did everybody stay healthy?
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
the question. Did everybody stay healthy? All right, I got 2 more comments from you guys from the opening press conference. We're asking you if you agree or disagree. When asked about Mike McCarthy taking over the offense, Jerry responded, "It's not about what Kellen wasn't, but about what Mike is." You agree or disagree?
That's an interesting one because I have mixed feeling about it. One, I haven't fully seen, or I don't think we have in this team, obviously, we haven't fully seen Mike McCarthy calling the plays and taking over that role. I thought Kellen Moore, despite the areas where he lacked, I think overall he started his career very, very good, and he took the Cowboys to another level. He elevated the Cowboys offense, and it's shown by proof that they were in many areas the number one in the league, but they didn't get to where they needed, and there were a lot of areas that needed improvement overall. Going back to that time, I still have problems with thinking that despite you having different ideas and not wanting to butt heads with your offensive coordinator, I still think there were times that you as a head coach, and we don't know this fully, but that I think maybe he should have taken over. Maybe he should have intervened, because there goes that season. That season is gone, and we thought at the time the Cowboys had a shot. I think the last few years we've thought the Cowboys have had a shot. And so I don't know. I'm curious to see how well McCarthy does. I think he came to training camp in really, really good spirits. You guys know, well, you know, Derek, and I've talked about this on the show before. I'm super about vibes and energy and all that, body language. I like to observe those things, and McCarthy came out here with his energy on point. He got out of that plane super happy, giving thumbs up. So I'm excited to just see him take over that role. But I mean, that's a great way for Jerry to put it, because what else can you say about that? You appreciate what Kellen did for you, but also now you're turning the page and giving McCarthy the chance.
I agree with that part of the statement from Jerry, and because I'm on record as saying I believe that Kellen Moore was underrated by most of the fan base. I think Kellen Moore was a very, very capable offensive coordinator, but two things can be true at the same time. And the other side of that truth is Kellen Moore's tendencies often got in his way of what might have been a better situational play call. Talk about how the game went in Green Bay, talk about how the game went in Jacksonville. When you have a lead like that, you kind of want to start going old school, maybe get that run the ball in, work the clock. But with Kellen Moore's exit to Los Angeles, now we're not only going to see Mike McCarthy, who is in fantastic spirits. He said himself, he's having fun. He's calling plays again. But the question now is, he's going into year 4 of what's reportedly a 5-year contract. It's time for the Cowboys to see if there's an evolved Mike McCarthy as a play caller. As this is a pivotal season for this offense, Mike McCarthy, his staff, so now you have these changes. So I do agree that it's about time to find out what version of Mike McCarthy exists now, and if it's the version that is going to be able to mix that old school style with some of these analytics, these new guys like John Park that he's bringing in, what does that look like? And I think the Cowboys are on a good roll right now.
Yeah, I feel like, the last couple of years, you were first in points and fourth in points under Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
There's some things that Kellen Moore was really, really good at. I think the Green Bay game was when Mike McCarthy had enough. I think that game right there, he had circled that game as, I'm going to go back to Lambeau Field. I'm going to win this team. He had this game in grasp. He had it right there in his hands.
That post-game presser was.
And and at that point in time, when that happened, that's when I think he said, no, I've got to do something. And to Ambar's point, maybe there needed to be more of that. And again, I'm not acting like I was on the headset, but the head coach does have the ability to click over and say, hey, listen, man, I'm going to go for here on 4th down. You got 2 plays to get this thing in there, or, hey, you need to run this ball more. We can't be in this situation. We got to find a way to burn some of this clock. You're responsible for doing that. Well, now he's just taking that away from Kellen Moore. Instead of clicking over and talking to an offensive coordinator, up in the box, probably Brian Schottenheimer's going to remind him, hey, Mike, get to this if you can. This is what they're showing us. Get to this if you can. And so maybe it's just a matter of him getting back in the rhythm as a play caller. But it's interesting because if you go back and look at Green Bay stuff, how much movement. Everybody's always freaking out about movement and motion and deceptives and all that stuff.
That's the Kyle Shanahan
stuff.
And
so everybody sees that. And then you come from a program in Green Bay where Aaron Rodgers was like, give me the static offense. I just want to read this myself. I don't need you moving guys around. So it'll be interesting to see. Brian Schottenheimer talked about 70% of the offense could remain the same. The 30% to me is what I was talking about, the screen game or in the running game and how not to get shut down in the second half of the football season. If you go back and study, and a lot of it had to do with what happened there at right tackle, and Tyron Smith having to move around. But Mike is a play caller. I think they're going to have to come out of the gate early, and he's going to have to find a rhythm. They can't be like kind of feeling their way and being 3-3 to start the season and everybody going, well, is this thing going to really work? He's putting a lot of pressure on himself now calling these plays.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you have to note, I know you noticed the number of points that the Cowboys scored over the last 2 years. I think the interesting thing is there were games, though, where the offense just seemed to sputter. And I think those are the times when that's where I look at it.
Game.
Yeah.
That Tampa game, you couldn't have drawn that up any better for Kellen Moore and these Cowboys the way that went. But then the San Francisco games, are teams that you play that have really good fronts, physical fronts, going to give you problems?
Right. And how do you work out of that?
How do you work? And I think that's the 30% of the offense.
Exactly.
They're trying to figure out right
now. Because, by the way, at this point, when you're 12-5 back-to-back seasons, you're not trying to make seismic changes. You're looking for those little tweaks. And that's where I think, for a Mike McCarthy, he's like, Kellen Moore could be really great. And let's also remember, I think this gets lost in it, this wasn't a situation where the Cowboys are like, you got to go, Kellen. Yeah. This was a mutual parting of ways. Kellen every bit wanted to go to San Diego as maybe the Cowboys wanted to move to Mike McCarthy. So I don't think it was just a, hey, get out of the door.
No. There was not a firing here. This was like he probably felt like after the Green Bay game, coaches, I've been around them. They close their door. They get on the phone. They talk to their buddies around the league. And, they were having struggles in Los Angeles. Joe Lombardi wasn't doing a good enough job. They weren't getting the development. So it made it real easy for Kellen Moore to find a soft landing spot.
Right. All right, let's move on. We got one final statement that I have for you guys. We only have 1 minute, but I think this one could take a little while. We can always carry over to the next show. Here's a statement. When asked about the kicker situation, Jerry responded, I think we've got in camp what can be the answer. Agree? Disagree?
We can end the show. Just go ahead.
Disagree. And again,
so you guys, you don't believe that Vizcaino is the answer?
I don't have the body of work in front of me to be able to agree. Now, Vizcaino or Brandon Aubrey, they could come in and they could knock it out the park, and I hope one of them do. But until I see that, you look at Aubrey's work, former soccer player, and now he's a kicker, former USFL. You look at Vizcaino, this is not his first attempt at sticking with an NFL team, let alone the Cowboys. I don't have enough evidence to say I agree. And the lack of evidence leads me to disagree until further notice.
I know one thing. I asked my gang of 7, my pro personnel guys and gals around the league, and I asked about Aubrey. And one of my guys, and this is a team that needs a kicker, that I asked. And he says he was really good in Birmingham. Smooth, accurate, poised, good at kickoffs as well. Heard very good person and a wiring for the position as well.
Which is mental.
So that,
right?
to me, the mental part, because the mental part out here will be the key. Because every time it used to be you stand out here and when they do the kicking stuff, everybody would stand around and just kind of talk to each other. Now everybody is watching, everybody's charting, and the wind coming over the top of these trees, and we got these new structures around. There'll be some days where these kickers might not look great, and other days where we're like, oh, maybe this is the right guy.
Yeah.
And this is not going to happen, but I'm like, can we have just like 4 kickers and have a true
I tried
competition?
To get 3. I asked Jarius. I tried to get a third in
You
there.
did try to get a third.
It's a good question. But it's just, and again.
And I think that's what led to, I think we've got in camp what may be the answer.
Well, they said that last year, though.
But he also said all options are open.
True.
They thought they had 2 kickers last year, and it sure didn't go that way.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us for our maiden voyage of this new version of Cowboys Break. Patrick, nice job. Nice job to our normal crew here. We're ready to get into this season. We got a lot.
Y'all don't let me speak. You talk too much.
Well, that's where you're gonna have to just do like this. Just elbow your way in.
Did Jerry Madelon teach you anything?
Right,
you gotta jump in there.
Shouts out to Jerry.
Exactly right.
Shouts out Jerry.
We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back Friday for our next edition of The Break. Till then, for Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!